Well, I saw the first episode of Halo. Now, I never played the games. I know very little about it. I'd seen, quite a few advertisements for the games and the visuals and the artwork and all that. And when I saw the trailers for the series and all that, I thought, well, it looks cool and interesting and all that. And just, space battles and stuff, sure, I'll check that out. But then people who really do know a lot about it didn't seem so happy. And we're talking about this and that, and they swapped around characters, changed them, and all this sort of thing. And that they were going to center it all around a special girl. So, there is a special girl in the episode. What this has to do with the rest of the series, I don't know. But this is one of those things where I'm not a big fan of Halo. I didn't play the games. I'm not a fan at all, really. And I'm just watching the show for the show. I didn't see it as being all that bad, but it's not that great either. So I'm at a loss as to how far afield it is from the original source material, and I no doubt that it is, because I did see where the showrunner said, yeah, he doesn't know jack squat about Halo either. And it's like, look, as for the purposes of profession, you don't necessarily have to be a hardcore fan of anything, but you have to be professional, and you do your damn homework and understand what it is that you've been given the keys to. Me, tons of people, I'm sure, they hear this all the time, that the best example of this was way back when with, Harv Bennett and the likes of it, dealing with Star Trek. Didn't know anything about it, didn't really, wasn't interested in it and all that, but got the job. What can you do for a sequel to Star Trek? We want to, start over because the motion picture didn't turn out so great. So what can you do for Star Trek 2? So he's like, what do I do with this? I know. I'll watch Star Trek. And he saw Space Seed, came up with the Khan idea, and the rest is history. It becomes easily the most beloved and praised Star Trek film of all time in Wrath of Khan, because this is the work of a professional who studied it, crafted a story based on what he saw and understood, and did it. People who just come into these properties and slap on this and that and templates of this show and that and all that. Oh, and I want to tell a message about colonialism, or the precedent, stuff like that, and think that that's fine, that you just slap it all in there very lazily and think that'll work. And just on the surface, it appears that's the case on this. Not in total. I've seen it far worse, and Star Trek Discovery and the like. But I don't know if that's all there will be. Probably, because this sounds so familiar about how these shows are handled. So the show in and of itself, you have this colony. They're wanting to separate from the main, galactic government, whatever it is, the UNSC. And they're expecting perhaps they'll get assaulted by some Marines from the main government, and instead it's these aliens. Apparently they weren't sure that there was any such thing as these big hulking alien guys, but they suspected it was all government propaganda and whatnot, trying to keep them in line. And because the government has abused them, it's funny, they didn't really believe them anymore. So there's a powerful lesson there. So the colony is led by this general. He has a daughter who is the special girl. Doesn't seem to point out that she's the key to it all or anything like that. There's something else that appears to be the key to it all. Maybe just be an actual key. I don't know. Some alien artifact that these aliens of the Covenant are looking for. And the colony has no chance of defending themselves from these guys. So the battle scenes are brutal. I mean, it's just the girl and her friend. The girl is running from them, and all her friends get wiped out. I mean, their legs are blown off and then fried and all this stuff. So, but in the end, guess who saves them? Well, it's the government's super duper special forces, the Spartans, and they're super duper soldiers. literally programmed, and they're in their super duper space aged Iron Man suits, and they wipe out the aliens and look into what were the aliens there for, what do they want. Well, there's these old ruins in a cave, and there's some ancient technology in there, and the main character, Master Chief, he's the leader of the Spartans, at least of this particular squad of them, and he finds the artifact, reaches to grab it, and suddenly it activates on his touch, and he has some memory. It's obviously some glimpse of the past that's been erased due to his programming to be this super duper soldier. So there you go. That's the whole thing. What does it mean? Where does it go? That's what they're doing. And now he's all kind of messed up about this, so he decides to fly back home by himself. He takes the survivor girl with him, and so they're off. And meanwhile, the UNSC bosses and whatnot are talking about whether the scientist woman is all fascinated by what Master Chief just did. The boss lady's upset with her. We meet her, I guess, her ex-husband and their daughter, who I think is a race swap character, Miranda. I seem to recall she looked a lot different from the games. But that's, only in advertisements and stuff. I don't know for sure. But she talks to the survivor girl and tries to get her to tell the story of what happened so they can unite the people as a united force against the aliens, And then the girl threatens not to do it and say, I'm going to blame it all on the Spartans, because she's mad at them because of all the past grievances they had. So the government decides, okay, just kill her. So they send the message to Master Chief to kill the girl. Oh, but he can't do it. So he decides, in that moment, he's had one little brief weird memory. He's had a conversation with the girl. Oh, yeah, and the girl revealed, I met you once before. And he's like, really? Where was this? She said, when you killed my mother. See, that's a problem. You're going to need a lot. I mean, granted, her life depends on him now. But I'm kind of like, is she ever really going to forgive him for that? Maybe she'll realize, oh, you were just a tool of the state and it wasn't you. I don't know. But similar things like in Raised by Wolves, there's this boy who ends up forgiving these people who killed his parents and took on their identities. Literally plastic surgery to make themselves look like his parents. Well, he's like, they look like mommy and daddy, good enough. So, but Raised by Wolves is a much better, superior show to this so far. I mean, you get some cool battles, and a lot of times the CGI is very good, and other times it's rather brief, but sometimes it really fails. The rest of it looks pretty much like every Sci-Fi Channel show you've seen. So it's kind of odd about that, but I don't know. What else were you going to do? And they're always on alien planets are always deserts and stuff. I don't know. But so that's basically it. He goes rogue. He's got this, the ring of power. It's not a ring. It's some sort of triangle thingy. And, it's got all kind of special power. And off he goes, and he escapes with the special girl. Meanwhile, there's another special girl, but she's a traitor. She's with the Covenant, it's called, of these aliens. And they explain, hey, this Spartan guy had a reaction with the artifact like you do, which I guess they have another one. I don't know. And she's like, ooh, I have to meet him, which is kind of reminded me of like Baltar from the original Battlestar Galactica. He was the human traitor hanging out with the Cylons. Well, whatever. In and of itself, I didn't see it as god awful, but I don't know how far removed it is from the actual story. I mean, you go through the trouble to develop a brand identity on something, and you want to use it for this other medium, being a television series or streaming series, what have you. And then, hey, let's change everything. Why? Because you're too lazy to... And I mean, how hard would it be to bone up on the actual narratives of the game, I guess it was too hard for the showrunner. I don't know. But just one episode in, I don't know. I didn't see it as that awful. I didn't see it as great. So, but there again, if it boils down to that it's just so far removed from what made Halo a thing, then yeah, I can understand why people be upset with that. But then again, if you're just looking for a space battle show, maybe it's going to be okay. I don't know. But I just wasn't overwhelmed by it. You know? So anyway, there you go. Plus, it's on PP. And so far, PP has just been pissing everything. Don't even get me started on Star Trek. Now, this was leaps and bounds better than what they've been doing with their Star Trek shows. But one of the big problems is the total disrespect and ignorance of Star Trek lore and all that. So that plays into it. So that might be the same case here too. Just better effects. Although the Star Trek Discovery did start out with really incredible special effects, but it was all wasted. So when the money runs dry, it'll probably just be, Master Chief and the girl talking about their feelings for 40 minutes in the bathroom of the spaceship or something. Anyway, there you go. Halo.